Over 1,700 new millionaires are created every single day in the US alone, and more than double that across the globe. They're people from all walks of life, most of them people just like you and I. So the big question is this: how are so many people who didn't inherit money or have any special advantages overcoming the odds and becoming millionaires? That's the question, and this show will give you the answers. My name is Jeff Lerner, and welcome to Millionaire Secrets. Welcome back out there to another episode of Millionaire Secrets. Excited to be here with you. Really excited about the guest we have today. And I realize I say that at the top of every episode. I say I'm really excited about today's guest, but today I'm really excited.
You actually mean it.
I mean it. Yeah, this guy, I am psyched for who we're going to have today. And that joke will make sense here in a minute. His name is Timothy Sykes. And right out of the gate, I'll tell you why I'm so excited. He's a stock trader. My dad's a money manager, so I have a lot of questions and enough familiarity to be dangerous, but also probably ridiculous from Timothy's point of view. But also, Timothy once had $12,000 in bar mitzvah money, and he turned it into millions. And I once had $12,000 in bar mitzvah money, and I spent it on stupid crap, and now it's all gone. So I want to know the difference and probably a lot of other amazing things about Timothy. Timothy, welcome to Millionaire Secrets.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Yeah, glad you're here, man. So yeah, I mean, I almost like, there's a few times in my life I've met like really big celebrities.
Yeah.
And I try not to be the guy who immediately goes to like, oh, you're my hero. Oh, will you sign my jeans? Or, oh, this, fan geek, right? And so with you, I'm like, okay, I don't want to be the guy who immediately is like, so how did you turn $12,000 into millions of dollars, right? Because it's not like you've never gotten that question before.
Never.
So
nobody wants to know that.
Yeah, nobody cares, right? So I'm going to put a pin in that question. Obviously, I'm going to come back to it.
Yep.
My audience would never forgive me if I didn't. But I actually want to back up. So I'm assuming you were raised Jewish.
Yeah.
Bar mitzvah.
Yeah.
Mazel tov.
Thank you.
And you had $12,000 that I guess you saved. I assume you didn't start trading with it when you were 13.
Correct. I got it in high school. The money was just sitting in like Series E bonds. And my parents said, go to work, have fun within the stock market, thinking that I would lose it all and that it would be a good lesson. Those are my kinds of parents, like where they want me to like learn on my own. But I screwed up their plans by turning the 12,000 into over 100,000 before I graduated college, or before I graduated high school, and then nearly 2 million before I graduated college, just because I became obsessed with, trading these stocks. So I didn't learn the value of a dollar. I learned the opposite lesson, but it was still pretty good for all of us.
Well, okay. So, I mean, you didn't learn the value of a dollar, but actually I would argue a dollar's only worth a dollar. Skill is worth a lot more than money. Money is attracted to skill, not necessarily the other way around. I mean, skills are worth a lot of money, and you prove that, right? You prove that 100 times over, literally.
Yeah. I mean, I learned the strategy more than just the money on anything. Like, I was in the right place at the right time, frankly, in 99 and 2000, but a lot of people made money back then. They lost it all in 2001, 2002 bear market. I adapted because I became a trader. So I've always been, a trader where I'm in and out. I don't believe what these companies say. I'm not a long-term investor. I'm kind of this cynical guy just because, as we said, like right before we started this interview, like I've seen a lot of crazy stuff with these stocks and management and newsletters. So I have this cynical approach where I'm like, I just expect the worst out of everyone. And that way I'm not disappointed ever. Sometimes I'm pleasantly surprised, but I know that's a cynical way of looking at the stock market and maybe life too. But I trade low price stocks. There's scams, there's BS, there's hype, there's lies, there's manipulation. So I just go in thinking that it's going to be terrible. And then sometimes it actually turns out to work.
Well, I did hear somebody once say that the key to happiness is low expectations.
Yeah. I mean, it's not even expectations. It's also just recognizing what the stock market is. A lot of people trade these low price stocks thinking that they're investing in the next Microsoft, the next Apple. It never is. Okay. So it's not even about expectations. It's just reality, studying the past, looking at, stats.
Well, I would argue that any historian probably has low expectations, because the more you study humans and history, you're like, wow, these guys kind of suck, especially
100%.
especially the ones that are managing financial or trying to make money through other people's money, selling their company or their shares. I mean, that's like a
you have to understand, like, most of the companies that are stocks, they don't want to be stocks. They have to be stocks in order to raise money so that they can even operate. A lot of the most successful companies I know are private. They don't want to put what they're doing, publicly. They don't need to raise any money. They already have enough money coming in. So you have to understand, like, already just being a publicly traded stock doesn't say great things about you. Obviously, like, if you're a blue chip and you want to, sell billions of dollars of stock and just capitalize on the name brand, that's different. But I'm trading very small companies. And what I say is that I'm basically a glorified history teacher. The same patterns repeat over and over again, because I'm not trading stocks that big hedge funds or algorithmic traders are invested in. I'm trading, like, the absolute worst stocks in the worst market, in the worst niche of the entire finance industry. And so it's basically like going to the racetrack and, like, betting on, like, 50-1, horse races. And it's like, these are long shots. So I recognize that they're long shots. And there are certain indicators that I've learned over time that show me that, wait a minute, this is not a 50-1 long shot. It's more like a 3-1. And sometimes, like, the worst fundamentally flawed company can become the best performing stock in the stock market. It's not just about, good companies going up, like Facebook, Apple. They do well over the long term, but they also drop 50% over a few weeks or a few months in different markets.
So again, I grew up, my dad's a money manager. He was an institutional stockbroker for the first part of my childhood. Then he started his own advisory business. Then he started managing high net worth accounts. And so I grew up around all this. So I have probably a level of questioning that's got, a nerd factor to it that's not going to necessarily be useful for all the audience. So I kind of want to, like, skirt that line, right? Not get too technical.
Like. I can go basic, I can go advanced. There's nothing too advanced with penny stocks. I mean, like, this is not rocket science. This is pretty much.
It really is just fear and greed. I mean,
hype. I was going to say hype and greed. A lot of hype in the low price stock sector, where every company has a potential coronavirus treatment right now.
Right.
All these companies are going to cure coronavirus with their whopping zero in cash in the bank. And I'm just like, you guys, like, just read their legal filings. Their accountant, their auditor says that they're probably bankrupt, but people believe it, and they believe press releases and hype. So at least.
Yeah. And everybody, I know that the few times I've checked in, everybody's using cannabis to treat cancer.
Yeah.
Everybody's got a big contract pending with the government.
Yeah.
It's like $500 million guaranteed taxpayer money. Like, it is. It's a funny world.
There's so many schemes and so much, just BS. And you just have to appreciate it. Like, you're not going to change it. You're not going to stop it. There's always going to be scammers, liars, small companies hyping themselves up. So you might as well learn how the game works and profit from it.
So, yeah, exactly. So take me back, though. You're a high school kid. You get this money. So there was something different about your approach to that situation from your average teenager, because I think we can all agree your average teenager screws up and learns the lesson that your parents wanted you to learn.
Yeah.
You didn't.
Yeah.
What do you think was different? What made Timothy Sykes a different case?
Sure. It's always been my work ethic. The only reason why my parents gave me control of the money is because I was a tennis player. I got injured. I had Tommy John surgery on my elbow. I couldn't play tennis anymore. I was playing, 6, 7, 8, 10 hours a day, working out too. I, had no training knowledge whatsoever, just overtraining, and my body basically broke down. So I used that same kind of work ethic to say, okay, I have 2 casts on my arms. I was already into college, early admission because of tennis. I had nothing to do. The stock market's going crazy. So I became obsessed with learning about different stocks. And for the first few months, I didn't know, like, my strategy. I didn't know anything. I invested in 3 companies: the Boston Celtics, Regis, which was the precursor to Supercuts, or Supercuts was the precursor to Regis, and Viacom, which owned, like, Madison Square Garden at the time. and those were it. And so my 12,000 went to like 12,200 to like 11,900 and it just wasn't moving for like several months. And I was like, what is this? I'm sitting there with the cash. So I gravitate towards, stocks that are moving. And the cool thing is, it's actually kind of funny because I was in high school, but I was already into college. I just skipped classes. It didn't really matter. I made friends with the librarian. Back then, I don't even know what high schools have now, but back then they had like rows and banks of like computers. So like 13 computers in a row, and no one would be in there because they'd be in class, but I was friends with the librarian and he knew I was like learning about stocks, and he was like invested in Johnson & Johnson. That was his only stock. And so we like talked about it. And I used all of the computers, and like, the internet wasn't very fast. We're talking dial up back then. So I would load one web page on one computer, then go to the next computer and load another web page. So I was working off like 12 computers, like insane, just learning about what news moved stocks, what industries were hot. And back then, internet stocks and biotech stocks were hot. And I started looking at them, but I couldn't afford them because they were high priced. And then I started looking at lower price stocks because they were moving just as much, even if the companies weren't necessarily like Yahoo or Netscape at the time, which were the two biggest internet companies. So I was like, oh, let me invest in this little company called NetTaxi. They have a new little, internet platform. And I didn't know what anything was. I'm still not great at technology, but I recognized that the chart was breaking out. So I bought the stock, and, I would sometimes double or triple my money in a week. And I was like, this is amazing. Later on, we figured out the reason why I turned 12,000 into over 100,000 senior year of high school and then 700,000 freshman year of college. I had inadvertently piggybacked what pump and dumpers were doing. Back then, they had boiler room, marketing phone calls at dinner time, because that's when you're most likely to be home. So you would get a marketing call at dinner. They would pitch you a stock over dinner. You'd say, okay, yeah, that sounds good. Let me buy it. All the pre-orders would pile up the next morning because a lot of these penny stocks don't trade pre-market. They didn't even have pre-market back then. So everyone who got marketed to at like 6 or 7 p.m. would put in their buy orders, and the stock would go up right from like 9:30 to 10 a.m. the next morning. So I saw this pattern and I kept piggybacking on it. I didn't know it at the time. We didn't know boiler room marketing. We didn't know about anything. That was exposed years later. But I saw the pattern where these little internet and biotech companies were spiking at the open, and I would buy them. And that was my first pattern.
Is that, frankly, he's a guy that I'd love to have on the show someday. So I don't want to like be too
Jordan Belfort?
But that was Belfort. Like, that's what he was doing, right?
He was pre-internet. These were like little wannabe Belforts. But yeah, he basically invented, boiler rooms and telemarketing. He doesn't really
he was pumping dumping stocks, right? Or was it something else?
He invented the whole strategy, but now he still owes his victims $100 million, and he doesn't like me reminding everyone of that. He has like companies set up in Australia. He still owes his US victims $100 million. Bad man, bad dude.
Well,
these are not your opinions. This is just the opinion of your guest.
Well, yeah, as a technical disclaimer, Millionaire Secrets does not represent the opinions of its guest.
I've said this many times publicly. I think it's sketchy. But I say, look, if you want to learn from Jordan Belfort, if you want to learn how to be a career criminal, I think he is the best career criminal ever. If you want to learn how to throw out ethics and have no guilt over like literally thousands of people whose lives you have destroyed, he is the man to learn from, because it's fascinating to me. If I have like one person messaging me being like, I'm losing money, I feel bad. I don't know how he sleeps at night. So if you want to learn how to sleep at night while scamming people, he's a great teacher, I think. I don't know. What do I hear?
I really touched a nerve there, and I have no dog in the fight.
I'm just an educator, man. He teaches out in Australia. He's got an Australian company. He doesn't make any money in the U.S. Why should his U.S. victims have anything? This is what I do, okay? I cut through the BS. I expect the worst out of everybody, and I'm blunt AF.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. You trade penny stocks. You're a professional bullshit
sniffer.
Sniffer.
Yeah.
Sniffer.
I sniff it.
Yeah, you sniff it, you process it.
Sniff all the BS. That's why I get sinus infections so often.
And it's interesting. You don't just find the bullshit. You anticipate how other people will react to the bullshit and try to be on the right side of those reactions, which, as you point out, you can't control them. You're not creating the bullshit.
Correct. It's actually interesting because like these promoters think I know like everybody. I don't know anybody. I know patterns. So sometimes I write a blog post where I'm like, why I invested $50,000 into this scam. And people are like, what are you talking about? And I expose the company and I say, here's 20 reasons why this company is a scam. And they're like, why are you putting your money into it then? And I'm like, because, and then I explain how, like, you know, penny stocks get pumped up with these, there used to be email marketing and used to have telemarketing. Now you have Discord chat rooms, Twitter chat rooms, stock twits, Telegram, WhatsApp. There's all kinds of new promotions.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's interesting. I have two things to say about that. One is, I don't think people understand how much, the pump and up boiler room, it still exists. There's trading forums. I had a guy that convinced me a while back to give him 25 grand to trade. And he was like, he had got me a log into these forums, and he's like, wait for the thread to light up. And when everybody's going, that's when you want to go. And then now there's Telegram threads.
Yeah.
And I get Telegram threads on my phone. It's no different on the internet, even on social media. They'll be like, so-and-so hot new artist is doing a giveaway. Get yourself in the gifting loop and you can generate 8,000 new Instagram subscribers in the next 24 hours. And it's exhausting. But that's the world we live. But so that's the first thing I want to say is what you're saying is way more prevalent than I think most people realize. But secondly, I think there is a vein, a DNA, some sort of chromosome in the human person that, and we all need to be aware of it so we can fight against it, that likes to be scammed. We like to be told that your life can get better without you having to get better.
I agree with that. I think
we like it.
That's
why Jordan Belfort doesn't exist if people don't like that.
I think that there's a lot of lazy research and, you know, people who don't even realize that it's going on. But they do put themselves in the position to get scammed. Like if you don't learn about finance and you're throwing your money around, like, you know, I say trading is a battlefield. I say, you know, if you don't have the right weapon on this battlefield, like if you go onto an actual battlefield where people have machine guns and grenades and you have like a little squirt gun or like a little butter knife and you're like, okay, where's the battle? And you don't have the right weapon for battle, you're going to get annihilated. And if you look at the stats, 90% of traders lose, 70% of investors fail to beat the S&P 500 every year. All you have to do is basically put your money in the S&P 500, make 8 to 10% per year on average over the course of your lifetime, and you'll do better than nearly 3/4 of the world. So there's so many different scams and schemes, and you know, just looking at stats, looking at history cuts through all of that.
Yeah, it's funny, man. And I'll tell you where I have this jaded perspective that I'm saying I think people actually like to be scammed is I come from the internet affiliate marketing world where 9 out of 10 affiliate marketing programs are basically self-replicating business opportunity bullshit where they say, oh, come in here, we'll teach you how to affiliate market. And then they say, now buy our $2,000 program so that you can get the private label rights to be able to resell this program and qualify for this. And then they're like, okay, well now if you really want to make the big commissions, you need to upgrade to the $20,000. And it's all it is a looping system to qualify you to be able to resell the same piece of shit to the next guy. Yeah. And you can't earn the commissions unless you buy your way in. So I have an online education company that teaches affiliate marketing. We teach how to do digital agency. We teach how to create digital courses. We teach the mainstream, legitimate, non-BS internet-based business models. Yeah. And my support staff probably spends 50% of all of its time and answering tickets and phone calls and everything, having to explain to people how we're not those other things because so many people have wasted so much money on those other bullshit things. And I'm like, how did the alarm bells not go off?
But this is why it's good. That's where the opportunity is. I'm not that smart. I'm not that great at math. I'm just real. And being real is crazily like a revolutionary concept, especially with penny stocks and, you know, teaching the stock market. And that, you know, I know from affiliate marketing too. Like I've gone to Affiliate Expo West. I talked to this guy, you know, he was promoting the acai berry. And before that, he was promoting a penny stock. And the acai berry, for those of you who don't know, I mean, was a giant internet scheme. And it was like, oh, this superfruit is amazing. And it was just another like internet marketing thing. But the guy that I was talking to had moved into promoting penny stocks. And he was like British. And he came up to me and he's like, mate, you exposed my pump. And I'm like, I'm sorry, that's just what I do. He's like, what'd you make on that? I was like, I think I made like $3,000, shorting it, because you can profit when these stocks collapse. And, I can't find that many shares to short. That's part of the reason why I got away from that, and frankly, why I teach too. But he's like, you cost me 50 million pounds, you motherfucker. And he was so pissed. And I was like, I'm sorry, can I buy you a drink? And he's like, it's okay, we'll do another one. And it's like, there's always another scam around the corner. Like, I've been to Panama, I've been to Russia, I've talked with like a lot of these shady promoters. They'll always just promote something, whether it's a coronavirus cure or an affiliate marketing launch, or, some government contract, or they found gold in Panama. What you can do is recognize that it's going to keep happening, and your best defense is actually the same as your best offense. Learning how they work, learning how to profit from it, so you can either ride it up a little bit, like if it's a penny stock and it's being pumped for several days or several weeks, like I sometimes do, or bet against it, or just avoid it entirely. There's so many different ways to play it, but it starts with education. And it's the same thing, with affiliate marketing. Like, if you do the digging, if you actually look into these contracts and you look into actual, the points, right? Like the really nuanced type information, you'll see, wait a minute, most affiliate marketers are full of BS. Most people lose money on this, okay? That's small companies in every industry. It's not just penny stocks. It's not just affiliate marketing. Most small companies fail because they don't have proper products. That's why big companies, if you want to just be a long-term investor, invest in big companies. Don't try to invest in one of these small little miracle companies, because they almost never work. It's like one in like 20,000.
It's so funny, man. But I'm sure you gotta like live this life where people are just like stop telling so much truth, man. Can't you just chill out, dude?
People like it. And I've just gotten used to like just having no filter, just saying it, because it's refreshing. Because most people, there's a lot of gurus who are like, I'll teach you to be rich on the internet. And like, they don't show their trades. They have like their students is like, oh, this is Robert R. What's Robert R.'s full name? Why can't we see Robert R.'s face? Why is it a stock photo of somebody else? Like, There's so much BS. And I'm wrong a third of the time. I'm literally not the best stock trader. I've only made a few $1 million in my life stock trading, but I donate it all to charity now. I trade with a small account, and I show my screen so you can see exactly what I'm doing. I predict most of my trades ahead of time in watch lists or video lessons. I say, if this stock does this, that's when I'm going to buy it, or that's when I'm going to short it. So it's just teaching the process. And as we started out here, knowledge, process, strategy, that's the key. Something where you can do it over and over again. Because for me, no one trade matters. No one stock matters. No one promoter matters. No one trend matters. I'm just recognizing that this stuff is going to happen again and again. And unfortunately, the world is going to have, more and more crises. We're going to have, police brutality. We're going to have more viruses being created. None of this is new, right? Like, we had Ebola a few years ago. We had police brutality a few years ago. The same kinds of issues keep bubbling up in new forms.
So what I hope that everyone is hearing, I say all the time, like really, really good entrepreneurs, and I would equate a really good trader to being a really good entrepreneur. Technically, you're not building a business, but you're building a consistent, predictable cash flow model, which is fundamentally, and you're exchanging value. Fundamentally, that's a business to me. Yeah. They're like it requires a level of intensity and drive and focus that puts you on the fringe of what seems at least definitely normal, possibly even sane to most people. And I say that not because you have a high energy personality.
What are you saying?
Yeah, exactly.
What
right?
are you saying? No, you're right. I say it's good to be insane. It's good to be passionate. It's good to be obsessed. Like, I don't think that you can over prepare on anything. Like, people say, like, come on, Tim. Like, I'm tweeting like a madman on a Friday night or on a Saturday. And people are like, come on, man, it's the weekend. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. I don't know if I can swear on your program, but that's basically what I say. Like, I'm like, I don't care what day it is, like, especially on weekends, especially on holiday weekends or at night. That's when you can get ahead. Too many people just think that they're going to be successful. They're going to be a millionaire and they work 9 to 5. Like, come on. Most people are not millionaires because most people don't put in the time. Most people don't have the right strategy. They don't have the right mindset. They don't have the right preparation.
Oh, God. I love this show because I get to talk to people who get it. That's what I love. That's why I do the show. This show is the lowest ROI thing that I do in my business by far. And in a short-term, direct way. I mean, long-term relationships are capital. Net worth equates to network. I make amazing relationships. I get to make friends like you. So I'm not at all saying that, but I'm just like, even strip all the other like quantitative benefits away, just getting to have conversations like this with people who get it is itself a form of energy. And I love it. And I appreciate that you're not pulling the punch about how and I'll match you about how fucking nuts you really have to be to do this shit at a really high level. Because by definition, if you want to have a result that most people don't have, it's not enough to say, oh, if you want to have what most people don't have, you have to do what most people won't do. No, you have to recognize that all the leverage, and this is a stock principle, all the leverage happens at the margins.
Yeah.
Right? And so that extra degree, that extra 100 calories a day, that extra hour of work, that extra half day you put in on the weekend, that's going to be by far incrementally harder than every hour that came before it, or every calorie, or every whatever, right?
Yeah.
And so, Dave, I'm sure you know who David Goggins is.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and he talks about the 40% rule, right?
Yeah.
That like everybody peters out at 40% and thinks, man, I just worked really hard.
Yeah.
And so you don't have to. So if you go to 48%, you actually did 20% more than everybody else, not 8%.
Yeah. No,
and 20% compounding for years and years and years. Law of 72. That means the additional gain that you have over everyone else doubles every 3.5 years. If you're doing 20% more than everybody else, which means you're going to 48% while they stop at 40.
Yeah.
Right.
And compounding is very important too. Most people don't realize that. Like if you just put in the same ridiculous extra at work every single day, it's like, okay, a little, but it adds up and then you get your gains faster. So like my top student just passed $12 million in profits. He started with 1,500, which is crazy, but he made nothing his first 9 months. He was studying like a madman. He was studying 15, 17 hours a day. His parents were like messaging me, like worried. They're like, what are you doing to my son? I'm like, I'm just teaching him what I know. Right. But now literally 2 days ago on, Wednesday, he made $275,000 in one day, his biggest trade ever, straight out of my guides, the exact pattern. I had 6 students who made over 50,000, and none of them had known about this a few years ago. But because they put in the time with studying, they had preparation, then there was the opportunity. When preparation meets opportunity, that's when good things happen. Unfortunately, there's opportunity every day. Most people are unprepared, so they just let the opportunities go by. Maybe sometimes they'll be like, oh, I wish I had done something, but they don't actually put in the time and effort to be fully prepared or over-prepared. I was over-prepared on this play. I was like waiting for it. I thought it was going to happen on Monday. I was like waiting all day Monday, and everyone's like, oh, you're wrong. It didn't happen. I'm like, Tuesday, I'm waiting. I can't wait. Wednesday, it happened. It's not an exact science. I don't know everything. I'm wrong a third of the time. But I was on the right track, and the pattern fit my model. So you don't have to know everything. You don't have to be perfect. You're never going to be perfect in any subject. But if you get the gist of an industry, if you become an expert where you can see things where other people don't, there's money in that. It doesn't matter if you're a teacher. It doesn't matter if you do it yourself. But you have to try to be unique, and you have to rise above everybody else. And there's a lot of competition, especially right now as we were talking before this started. Like our businesses are exploding because we, can handle this crisis better than most who have to go out and they have employees and they have, retail divisions. We can do this literally from anywhere, and business is booming. So now competition is booming. It's not just business is booming. Now you have to think, oh, wait a minute. Now there's thousands of traders locked up and in quarantine right now. They're all looking at the same exact stocks. They all want to make money. A lot of them just lost their job. So are you going to win now? Now it's just a more crowded battlefield. Are you prepared? That's the question. That's the differentiator.
That's such an astute point, talking about the increase in competition now. It's, it's true in your business. You got all these traders pent up at home. It's true in my business. I got all these people stuck at home going, oh, I know, maybe I'll be an influencer. Maybe I'll sell my
But it's unprepared competition. So it might be a more crowded battlefield, but if you have, 500 people with squirt guns and you have a machine gun, you could just plow them all down. I mean, it's not like it's like educated competition. It's not like, oh, I'm scared. It's recognizing that the playing field is slightly different. And now there's even more opportunity. When there's more competition and it's unskilled competition, that creates more opportunity.
Yeah, that's so true. And it is. It's people, people I always think of the tortoise and the hare analogy, and I'm like, no. Yes. The answer is just yes. Should I be the tortoise or the hare? The answer is just yes. Yeah. You need to sprint, and you need to do it way longer than anybody else will do it. And it is interesting on the internet. And again, with trading, with what I do, I feel like it's the same dynamic where like you have to play longer than the guy who plays a really long game. And you have to play harder than the guy who plays a really hard game. And you have to play harder and longer than anybody can even imagine.
Yeah. No,
and then you win. And then you'll win every time. And then you have the ultimate security. Nobody else is willing to do what you're willing to do.
You need to rest in between and prepare yourself mentally. Most people are not prepared mentally to do what it takes to succeed. They don't want it bad enough. They don't study hard enough. They don't have the work ethic. They don't have the drive. They give up along the way. Like my best students get it in year 2, year 3, year 4. My worst students quit in month 1, 2, or 3 because they're like, no, I haven't had it. Like, it's obviously always going to be the worst in the beginning when you know the least and everything's flying at you. And right now the stock market is moving very quick. But you need to respect that this is a marathon, not a sprint. I always say this. It's a marathon, not a sprint. But everybody wants fast money. They want rewards right away. They're like, if I make $1,000 today, then I'll study. And I'm like, that's not how it works. Like the market isn't just going to hand you money. Like you're going to lose because you have the wrong mindset. You're following other people's picks. The best thing about all my top students is that they're self-sufficient. They don't need me. They laugh at my webinars because I just repeat the same stuff all the time.
That's so funny. You mentioned the webinar, not a sprint. I hear, people say that and they go, and I think they picture, okay, well, yeah, you're right. It's a marathon. I need to keep going.
It's a super marathon.
Yeah,
they have no idea. It's like a decathlon.
And what people don't realize is really good marathoners run 26 miles in a row faster than most people can even run one.
Yeah.
The world record marathon is 2 hours and 1 minute, 26.2 miles. That's a little over 4.5 minute miles.
Yeah.
26 of them in a row. There was a time when a 4.5 minute mile was the world record for 1 mile.
Yeah.
And I think people are like, oh, it's a marathon, not a sprint. And they hear that and they think, okay, I just need to take it easy. But stay in the game for a long time. It's like, no, don't take it easy. Go even harder and do what David Goggins says. Don't quit when you're tired. Quit when you're done. I mean, and that could be 2 years from now.
That's a nice thought, but a lot of people, like, if they go hard, like, they burn out, right? Like, if you try to go hard all the time, even if you have that mindset, you burn out. So for me, at least if I keep them in the game, even if they're like soft or, they're not sure in the beginning. I have a lot of people who sign up and they're just like, yeah, let me give this Tim Sykes guy a try, but they're not even sure. As long as I can ease them in and they start seeing play after play after play, and then month 9, month 10, finally, I get messages where they're like, okay, you convinced me, you're real, now I'll study. And I'm like, for 10 months, like, this is what I have to go through. For me, I have to break the barrier of doubt just because there's so much BS. And I teach so, counter to all the other BS gurus. Like, I have to just break through that, and that takes me a while. My first Millionaire student actually was my first hater. He wrote a blog post that said Timothy Sykes was full of BS. I went back and forth with him in the comments. I know you're not supposed to answer your haters, but I answer them all because of this one guy. There's 60 comments. The blog post is still up. You can Google Timothy Sykes is full of BS. And he became my first Millionaire student. He just made 73 grand on Wednesday, the big day with a perfect pattern. And he made 140 grand for the month of June, which was his biggest month ever.
And he kept the blog post up.
He kept the blog post, and we still, I still debate him. Like, I hold a conference every year, or I did before coronavirus, and I have him on stage, and I was like, you wrote that blog post. And he's like, there are still a few points in that blog post that I agree with. And we get into this, you know. So him and I go back and forth. But it's cool because now he's made $2 million. I've traveled with him and his wife and his beautiful daughter. It's fun to, hang out with the people's whose lives you change with your strategies and lessons. And I hang out with all my top students.
So from one educator to another, you talk about this first 9 or 10 months or whatever it is, where people aren't really implementing. They're not really committed. They haven't drank enough of the Kool-Aid, and if they did, they puked it up on purpose. And but yet somehow you're getting them to hang in there long enough to chip away at their disbelief. Tell me, can you riff on that strategy? Selfishly, I want to learn more about what you're doing.
Yeah, well, it's interesting with the stock market. So, because this isn't an exact science and you have to wait for the best pattern. So I didn't know the coronavirus was going to come out. I didn't know that it would go to this degree, although I did have a blog post in January about it. So
Right.
I was early, I watched it. I didn't know it was going to explode to this degree. But it takes, sadly, a world crisis like this to create a whole sector of all these coronavirus stocks. Then you have the police brutality stocks now with this crisis. So when there's a crisis, I have DVDs going back a decade that dealt with the Ebola stuff. And it's the same kinds of stocks and the police brutality issue back then. So for me, it's waiting for these kind of world events to happen. And that's when I can really show off my patterns. When there's no crazy, niche going wild, my stuff doesn't really do that much. You don't see the patterns every single day. It's not like there's a perfect play every day. But when there is an overarching trend like there is right now, then there's 20 or 30 plays every day. And sometimes you'll see me in my chat room and I'm just saying fire at will, fire at will. It's like the scene from Star Wars because there's
Right.
bogeys everywhere and there's so many stocks. So for me, it's about getting people prepared as much as I can, getting them to hang in there during the slow times so that when they're seeing these plays, they're their heads are exploding and everything that I've been teaching kind of, just gels. And then a lot of people don't even profit necessarily off the first, crazy mania that they see because they weren't even taking their education seriously. So I have a lot of people right now who are just beginning to take their education seriously, even though they've been with me for a year, but they missed the weed run up and the cryptocurrency run up. So I depend on, big trends and big movers. Otherwise, I'm just teaching history.
Oh, that's really interesting. So reminds me of, what is it? The 7th habit. It's one of the 7 habits. You basically says, if you want, sharpen your saw. If you want to chop down a tree, you have 5 hours chopping down a tree, spend 4 hours sharpening your saw. That's basically what you're saying is get ready, go.
But that's a very time-consuming, boring kind of thing where people are like, when? And I'm like, patience. And I do these video lessons on patience. And I do a video lesson from the wall of fame or the wall of shame, past trades while we're waiting. And, a lot of people, frankly, they don't make it. They give up. They say, well, I'm tired of waiting. I'm just going to invest in good companies. And now people who give up, they come back. I talk kind of crazy about the promoters and I expose the BS. So a lot of promoters on Twitter say, block Timothy Sykes. So people block me because they're listening to the promoters. Then the stocks crash and I get people DMing me being like, I just unblocked you. You were right. I wish I would have listened to you. So I have to just throw out my crazy warnings, throw out my crazy lessons. And then as many people experiencing them personally and they see that they're real, that's when they, come to me. I can't compete with, the promoters. They have multi-million-dollar ad budgets where they spend 10, 20, 30 million dollars inside of a month or two to promote a penny stock. And I'm trying to expose the promotion. I'm going counter to it. All the followers, all the victims are like, you're lying. I've exposed Justin Bieber's pumps before, Shaquille O'Neal's pumps, Sponge Tech was a giant pump. And I took on there's a whole army of promoters and all their bots and all their followers. And I'm not wrong because when you invest 5, 10, 20 million dollars into a promotion, meaning you're sending out emails, Telegram messages, tweets, whatever it is, you're not putting that money into the company itself. So you know that the company itself is not good. The company, the stock is just a smoke screen, right? It doesn't even matter. It's specifically just so that the insiders can sell at inflated prices. They can either do a toxic financing for the company and raise $10 million and then pay the executives inflated salaries for 3 or 5 years when they try to make the revolutionary technology come to fruition, although it never does. Or they might just dump the shares personally right away into the promotion. So all of these low price stocks, they're not putting the money into the actual product or technology. And you can see that if you learn to read their legal filings, which is why I teach how to read their legal filings. They say it all. Too many people just read press releases instead of SEC filings.
So I got to ask, and again, I have no dog in this fight. I have no opinion on the matter. And I'm not saying that as a disclaimer. I genuinely don't know. Like companies like Agora Financial, and I think of like Stansberry Research, which I think is an Agora company. Is that what you're talking about?
No, I mean they're newsletter companies. Like I have an Agora newsletter. They just publish stuff. But I'm talking about like the forums that you say, people who don't have names, they don't have actual company names, or they change their company names. Like, Jordan Belfort with whatever 550 companies he has, based in Australia or stuff like that. You don't know the promoters. Like you could be a promoter. I have no idea who any of these promoters are because they're ghosts. They're just online identities because that allows them to do all the shady stuff that they do. No company that you've actually heard of does the shady stuff because then they'll just get taken down legally. So it's all kind of gray area. And I don't care. I want the promoters to know I'm not against them. I want their promotions. I play off their promotions. I expose their promotions, yes. But at the same time, if you're a promoter, some promoters are like, oh, we hate short sellers. You're going against your promotion. If you're a really good promoter, you should welcome the short sellers and then be ready with 5 press releases in 2 days and squeeze all the short sellers, because short sellers bet against stock prices. In order for short sellers to exit their trade, they have to buy to cover. So you can literally squeeze the short sellers if you're a promoter. I'll give you an example. DRYS was a shipping company, terrible company, hardly any revenues, lots of debt, hardly any cash, but they created a magnificent short squeeze. And to this day, I don't know who did it. This was a few years ago. I didn't even trade it. I was just scared. But the stock went from $5 to $120 a share in 5 days. Okay. That outperformed any other stock for the entire year, that year. And then it came crashing back down. The SEC halted it. It was a big investigation. I don't know if anybody went to jail or anything, but literally you could have made 25 times your money inside of a week just riding that thing up. And that's what I'm talking about, where the most fundamentally flawed companies sometimes can become giant short squeezes. And that's what we've been seeing lately. I don't even short anymore. I just teach this stuff. Sometimes I ride it up or I wait for the big crash, because usually you get one bounce before they, fade into oblivion.
Right. So it's interesting, again, without getting into too overly into the technicals, because I'm probably more interested in the technicals of what you're saying than maybe my audience. Here's what I'm thinking. Here's what's jumping out to me. It actually doesn't matter what kind of investing you're doing. If you're doing trading penny stocks, what you're saying, the fundamental principle is learn, train, prepare, study, strike. If you're doing long form value investing, a la Peter Lynch or Warren Buffett, Peter Lynch always said, I made the majority of my money after I'd owned the stock for 4 years? It's actually the same truth. Learn, train, invest, be patient, and wait for it.
They're different skill sets, right? So you have to choose which skill set, works with you the most. Because it's not just one strategy is going to work for everybody. I cannot do long-term investing. I don't care how good a company is. I have the patience of an ant, as you might be able to tell. So for me, trading works with my personality, my own characteristics, my strengths and weaknesses. So for people who become my student, not only is the stock market not an exact science, but we humans are not an exact science, and we have to find a strategy that works well with our own unique characteristics. So some of my students like short selling. They like the cynicism. They're like, yeah, let's bet against these scams. Some people like me say, I suck at short selling. Maybe it's because I'm so loud. And so the promoters know when I'm short because I post everything transparently. They know my rule number 1 is cut losses quickly. So they know if I'm going to short a stock and it starts going against me, I'm just going to cut losses quickly. I'm wrong a third of the time so they can squeeze me out. Maybe that's why it doesn't work. I don't know. But for me, now I wait for the crashes because I have over 2 decades of chronicles. I have 6,000 video lessons now. I'm kind of a madman where I've chronicled all these different patterns, and I specifically wait for the pattern. On Wednesday, I made like 30 grand because I waited for the pattern to come to me that fit my pattern. And I linked this blog post that was 12 years old, and everyone's like, why are you linking this? And I'm like, look at the pattern. And there were 8 charts, the exact same intraday chart as this CYDY, which supposedly has like a miracle coronavirus treatment. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I'm not in it for the science. I am a statistician. I am someone who has good pattern recognition. So when a stock hits my pattern, I recognize it. If I was a long-term investor, or like Peter Lynch or Warren Buffett, they have a specific pattern too, where they're like, okay, I'm looking for the debt to equity ratio. I'm looking for the value. It doesn't matter. we all have our own different metrics, but you have to practice, you have to learn, you have to refine, you have to optimize, you have to learn what not to do. Once upon a time, I lost $500,000 plus, ruined my whole freaking hedge fund industry credibility. I was a joke because I believed in this print at home ticketing company. I was right about the technology. Print at home ticketing became huge. I was wrong about the stock and I lost 500 grand. And that sucked, but it taught me never to believe in these companies. I had like a face-to-face meeting with the CEO saying everything's fine. The next week, he plunged them into bankruptcy, wiping me and all the other shareholders out. He secretly actually bought the company in bankruptcy, somehow held on to all the contracts with Universal Studios, Six Flags, and they later renamed the company, which he then owned 100% of, and they sold it for like 100 million. So not only was I right about the technology, I was actually right about the company, but I was wrong on my timing because I got in when they had debts. The new CEO wiped them out, cleaned it for himself, and then sold for big gains. It taught me what not to do because his face-to-face meeting, I remembered it, okay? I remembered him looking me in the eye saying, don't worry, Tim, you made a good investment. Everything's fine. He was filing that day the bankruptcy documents, okay? So you can't believe these people. It sucked. It gave me a drinking problem for several years, but I never made that mistake again. Now I'm extra cynical. I don't have any $500,000 losses, and I still have some big gains. Maybe not as quite as big as before because now I'm not a gunslinger, but I choose smaller gains and much smaller losses and less frustration than compared to the life I used to have.
Have you read Malcolm Gladwell's newest book, Talking to Strangers?
No. Is it good?
Chance? It's very good, and
Is that what we're doing here?
Huh?
Is that what we're doing here?
Yeah, it is. It's exactly. Well, except it would suggest that any impression that I'm having of you is probably useless because the whole premise of the book is about how much people suck at actually reading each other. And
I just tell my experiences. I don't even judge people, but back then I was a newbie. I was one of those people that I make fun of now on the battlefield with a squirt gun. I was one of those unprepared people. I didn't have the experience. I didn't have the know-how. And that $500,000 loss was the best thing to happen to me because I made millions since, and it taught me a valuable lesson what not to do. Let's say I didn't have that loss. Let's say I stuck around with that company. I rode it to the $100 million. I would have made like 20 or 30 million. I would not have gotten that education. Then I would have had an even bigger boatload of cash. And I probably would have lost like 10 or 20 million after that because I would be up to like 40 million. So that $500,000 loss probably saved me like $9.5 million in eventual losses. And it taught me, giving me the ability to earn millions off of it. So losses are not the enemy. The failure to learn from losses, that's the main problem.
Amen to that. It's and again, I'm always trying to, the purpose of this show is to talk to different successful people and try to extract the broad secrets that, it's millionaire secrets, right? What can people apply to their situation and their development path? And I'm hearing, the patience, diligence, giving things time, waiting till it's due. I like we said, it doesn't matter if you're trading or value investing. That principle is a fundamental. This also that you're saying, what I'm hearing is like, believe in the numbers. Don't believe in the people. People are unreliable.
Yeah. Well, right? They're reliably unreliable, right? They're very consistent in that. I have not met anybody in the penny stock industry who has actually done what they said that they're going to do. And because I now recognize that pattern, I'm like, oh, okay, whatever you say, I'll just do the opposite of. Thank you. I mean, it's so easy. It's crazy.
That's funny. So yeah, I mean, the talking to strangers, I brought that up because it actually, and it's timely. It starts with a story of I think it was a black driver and a white police officer, and it opens with a scene, and there's an arrest and miscommunication, and woman ends up in jail, commits suicide. Like it's just a tragic situation that comes out of people sucking at reading each other. Yeah. Then it goes to New York City courtrooms, and statistically, New York City judges deciding who to grant bail to, who to release on bail, and who to keep in jail are statistically worse than just a very basic computer program that just looks at the data points of people's histories on deciding whether or not people are likely to commit another offense while they're out on bail. Judges are worse than a rudimentary computer program. People suck at reading people. And what you're saying is you have to recognize that A, people suck at reading people. B, a lot of people suck. And you can actually, that's what you can actually rely on.
If I had time to write another book, I would be like, profit off other people's suckiness. Like,
Yeah.
you know, it's a shitty world. It's a sucky world, and you can profit from it because people are not changing anytime soon. The more people I meet, the more consistently sucky they are. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
So let me ask you this. Do you suck? And if so, how?
Yeah, that's a good question. No. So for me, that's the key to my success, not just in trading, but in teaching too. So when I make a mistake, I don't hide it. Like there's a lot of stock traders these days. They pump up a stock, they do 10, 20 tweets, then the stock crashes. You never hear about it again. No sell alert, no mistake, no lesson. For me, if I have a win, I do a lesson. If I have a loss, I do a lesson. I'm sure there are ways I suck. Like for me, I know having 6,000 video lessons, I wish I could pause the market for a year and just organize all my shit. I am the least organized person. My student, Jamil, wrote a book called The Complete Penny Stock Course because he's an engineer. He summarized all my video lessons and DVDs in a book that I didn't even write. And now that book is a bestseller because it's an organized listing of all of my lessons. So I suck at organization. But for me, because I recognize how many fakes there are every single day, even in interviews like this, you know, you're not in the stock market, but I'm trying to show that I'm real. I'm trying to show that, you know, I'm unfiltered. Like I'm not reading off a script. Like what should I say to be real? Yes, the penny stock market is great. You can make millions. Yeah. Like there are people who read off scripts. Like I have no scripts, and just being real allows me to really get through to students and get them studying. And, you know, unfortunately, because I'm disorganized, I have no, 5-step or 5-hour program to getting people rich. All of my successful students have studied all my video lessons. One of my students watched all my videos 3 times and he made categories. I didn't even have any categories or tags. So I'm relying on my students to better my work. So I just throw stuff out there. And that's probably a sucky, shitty way of doing things, but it's really worked for me.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, there's only one real metric of success, especially in investing. And that's, I'm pretty sure it's just the results, right?
Well, it's also, for me, it's the knowledge. So I say you have 2 accounts, right? You have your monetary account and your knowledge account. And for me, you have to grow your knowledge account so much in order to get your brokerage account up. Like you can't say like, hey, I want to make $1,000 and I have no knowledge. If you make money, that would be luck. And that'll come back to bite you because you'll never win more than 50-50 in the long run, probably even like 45-55. But if you have enough knowledge, then you can be prepared and your account can grow. So a lot of my students, they don't even trade the first 3 months or 6 months or 9 months. They tweet at me. People make fun of them. They're like, how much you paying Tim? You haven't made anything. So technically they have no monetary results, but their knowledge account will protect them from getting scammed. It'll protect them from taking big losses. It'll get them prepared for when there is a good opportunity. So what's happened is a lot of the people who got made fun of, who are my students, who are just like reposting my lessons, tweeting at me, being like, I'm learning, not making any money, but getting a lot of hate on Twitter, being like, you're paying for a scam, like Tim Sykes is a scam. I hear this all the time, right? But then when you had the coronavirus and police brutality and, you know, weed stocks and cryptocurrency, whenever there's a hot sector that fits my patterns, everybody converts their knowledge into profits. Not all the time, you know, we don't win all the time. But again, rule number 1 is you cut losses quickly. So you have more wins than losses. And then it's actually amazing. All the people who hated on them on Twitter, now they realize they're wrong and they become my students. So for me, it's just like, I'm not trying to get any more students. I'm just trying to keep the wheels in motion of being real. And by my being real, that gets me more students. That gets me dedicated students, even if they're not dedicated in month 1, month 3. I just have to keep this thing going. And by month 10 or month 24, then they get it. And then by month 36 or month 48, they're successful. It's crazy how it works.
Yeah, it is interesting. I mean, information marketing, whether it's stock trading or creating digital courses or affiliate marketing, and really almost anything in the world now, it's long form, compound relationship building through the consistent delivery of value. And like you said, like being real, being authentic. I think people fail to really get, like, that's not like some feel good aphorism that we just say. I would say it's clearly the reason for your success. I would say as an online educator, it's the number one thing I hear as a differentiator in my success is, Jeff, you seem like you were real.
Yeah.
People don't get, and it goes to deeper issues that I got to think are I don't think they're ego driven or manipulation based. I think it's like fear and insecurity and real human stuff that people are really truly scared to be real, because people are fundamentally scared to be seen. And for some reason, you don't seem to have a problem with it.
Well, there's also just a lot of non-experts who want to try to pretend to be experts. And so they can't be real, because then you start seeing, oh, wait a minute. Like, I have a lot of my competitors, they're not even on Twitter anymore. They're not even posting their trades anymore, because they know that would just open them up to scrutiny, right? So I always say, like, if you want to learn from anybody in the stock market, don't just listen to a profit screenshot like, oh, I made 200,000 for the month. Show me every trade. Show me the position size. Show me the wins. Show me the losses. So many people get away with these half-ass, fake-ass testimonials. And for us, both you and I are in the internet business, and this is like the Wild West. Like, even though the internet feels old, I mean, we're 25 years old. This is a brand new industry, and it's like the Wild West in like the 1800s. There's murder, there's cocaine in the Coca-Cola. Like, there's so many criminals running around, and there's lawlessness because it's a new industry and there's so much opportunity. So for us, guess what the number one company to come out of the gold rush was? Do you know this? There's one well-known company that came out of the gold rush.
Levi Strauss?
Correct. You get it. Exactly. Because they sold the jeans for the gold miners. No one who actually got the gold, like, sure, some, like, one out of like 200 people found some gold, or one out of 5,000, but Levi's sold jeans to everybody. So you just have to sell the tools, and you have to be real and quality. And that's it. That's the secret to success.
Yeah. Picks and shovels, right?
In a booming industry, though, like, it doesn't matter if you make, a amazing horse and carriage in 1960, like, cars have already overtaken. So you have to go with the booming industry, and you have to adapt. And for us right now, it is booming on top of booming, because not only is the internet new, but now more people than ever are forced to stay at home. We're doing this on a Zoom meeting. I wish I had the patience to hold Zoom stock. I had it. I saw it. I was like, wow, more people are going to have to use Zoom. And Zoom stock has quadrupled, and it just keeps going.
It's big. I read the other day, Zoom's market cap now is bigger than the entire airline industry.
I mean, Zoom, Peloton, all these things where it's just a basic macro event where everyone's staying home. What companies benefit when people stay home? It's that simple. It really can be. But I don't have the patience for that. So I recognize that.
That's funny, man. Well, dude, I have so much enjoyed this. See, I said at the beginning that I was legitimately excited about this guest for very, in a very real way. And it has proved to be valid excitement. So, Timothy, and I'm only concluding because we literally have a time limit on this conversation. I feel like you and I could probably talk for hours.
Yeah, for sure. Another time, dude.
Yeah. And actually, I'll take you up on that. But for right now, I want to make sure that all my guests know how they can go get into your world. And hell, if they want to learn to trade stocks, how do they learn to trade stocks? Like, tell them where to go.
Just type in Timothy Sykes. I got TimothySykes.com, 3,000 blog posts. Timothy Sykes on YouTube. I've got 1,400 videos. Timothy Sykes on Twitter. I've got 147,000 tweets I saw the other day. I say a little bit what's on my mind.
Hold on. Roll the tape back. 147,000 tweets.
But I'm also retweeting, like.
Yeah. But I mean, that's 147,000 times that you did something with your fingers or thumbs and made a thing happen on Twitter.
I mean, if you want to see my phone, you're going to laugh at this. Like, people don't understand how busy I am. Wait, I have 3 phones. I don't know. I'll send you a screenshot afterwards. But I have 709,000 unread emails, and I'm trying to get through them. But, like, I was under 700,000 the other day. But then I missed a day because I was trading too much, and it just gets me. I get about 8,000 to 9,000 emails a day lately.
Wow. I thought I was better. I'm at like 215, and I finally gave it to my assistant. She
Rookie numbers. I fired my last 3 assistants. Come on, they can't keep up with me.
I'm at inbox 0 now because she put everything in folders.
Folders. Let me write this word down.
Yeah, I know. It's amazing. No, I'm not saying I read them all. I'm just saying they're parked in folders.
No, I have some people who organize stuff, but for me, a lot of the way that I've come to all of this success, not just in trading, but in teaching, is looking at every email, seeing what students like, seeing what really gets them studying. I look at, like, students, like, studying hours. Like, I see exactly how long different students are studying. And I'm like, that's the optimal time to be the best student. And it's crazy.
Huh. Awesome, man. Well, okay. So TimothySykes.com. I'm looking at your Instagram. You got 1.5 million followers. Millionaire Secrets audience, Entreprenation audience. I think this is a guy that we might want to all tune into. Timothy, I've enjoyed having you. Thanks for being on Millionaire Secrets, man.
Hey, thank you very much.
All right. Take care.
Cheers.
Thank you for watching Millionaire Secrets. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with your friends and leave us a comment below. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you know whenever we release a new episode. Also, if you want to learn the fastest way to become a millionaire in the new economy, click the link in the description below to claim your free copy of my book, The Millionaire Shortcut. And don't forget, Millionaire Secrets is available on all the major podcast platforms as well. Subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts so you can listen on the go. Thanks for watching.